This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. I just wanted to put this part at the beginning. And I realized that after I recorded the original video, so I'm sorry if this is awkward, but I want to put this here. I know there's going to be people who put in the comments, Quincy, I know they're 4-2 right now, but it's not sustainable. They can't keep going like this. They can't keep winning like this. It's just not practical. It's not sustainable to win with PJ Walker, who, by the way, when he has 15 plus pass attempts, is 6-2, which is something to worth remembering. You know, it's not a guarantee, but PJ Walker knows how to play winning football at some level. But people will say it's not sustainable. These were the same people that told you got no shot versus the 49ers. These were the same people that told you got no shot versus the Colts if Deshaun Watson goes now. Look, is it not ideal to go through the rest of the season with this uncertainty with Deshaun Watson? Absolutely. But is it impossible to pull out a really good season? Absolutely not. So don't let those people tell you that it's not possible. It is. You've just seen evidence of it the last 2 weeks. And you could blame it on this and that, or that and that, or you got lucky here or there. I'm sorry, a team that's playing without Nick Chubb and the starting quarterback, that's not a lucky team in my eyes. So they have found ways. They have found people to step up. Now let's get to the rest of the video. Now, because of the news that's been breaking and the uncertainty at the quarterback position, I think it's easy for ourselves to lose ourselves in that frustration and think that the only thing that this team has to offer right now is frustration. But then you look up and remember that through all of this, the record is still 4-2. And it's not no weak 4-2. You beat some pretty good teams in that 4-2. So what I want to talk about today is we're going to get all that frustrating stuff out the way, because sometimes that can cloud our thought and make us think that this team is worse than they actually are. But the truth of the matter is that this is a good football team with or without a franchise quarterback. That this is a football team that's going to win plenty of games this year with or without a franchise quarterback. So what we're going to talk about today is the things that I love about this Cleveland Browns team. First thing I'm going to say about this team is their ability to pick each other up. And what I mean by this is, usually for Browns teams, everything has to go right, right? You look at the two good seasons, 2007, 2020. In 2007, literally everything went right. You get an out of your mind year from Derek Anderson. Kellen Winslow, for the first time in his life, stays healthy for a whole season. Braylon Edwards healthy, catching the ball when he's had issues with drops. You had your offensive line healthy. You drafted Joe Thomas. Literally everything that could have gone right for you that year went right. Go back to 2020, and did some things go wrong? Sure, but most things went well. Your offensive line was as healthy as any offensive line had been in the last 20 years, which is to say you had incredible continuity on that offensive line. You had one of the most incredible offensive lines of the era, right? Like, people go back and talk about that 2020 Browns offensive line as the gold standard when it comes to offensive lines. You had great health. Your quarterback stayed healthy. Your wide receivers were healthy. Like, you just had good health that year. You dealt with COVID, but everybody dealt with COVID that year. And it wasn't that big of a deal. You got great luck in that year. Everything went right health-wise and on the field-wise. This year, everything ain't going right. Now, people could complain about like the couple of calls that have gone our way, but look how much has gone wrong for this Cleveland Browns team before you cry about a penalty flag going the Browns' way, before you call them lucky for that. 2 weeks into the season, you lose. Now, not even 2 weeks, 5 quarters into the season, you lose Nick Chubb. 3 games into the season, you lose Deshaun Watson to wacky shoulder land. Like, I don't even know what's going on with that. I don't know when he's going to come back. You don't know. Nobody know when he coming back, man. Like, he gone. He ain't been here since week 3. He came back last week, but let's be real. He ain't been here since week 3. And if I would have told you at the beginning of the season, hey, man, look at this schedule. Look at the first 6 games. In those first 6 games, you get 5 quarters of Nick Chubb and 3 games of Deshaun Watson. What do you think the record's going to be? And I know a lot of y'all, the most optimistic might have said maybe 3-3. Browns are 4-2, and all that happened. And that's because this team continues to pick each other up. Offense not doing well, defense does what they have to do. Sometimes they play complementary football, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the defense is having a bad game, but Myles Garrett steps up and Denzel Ward steps up. There's always somebody there to make a play. This is what I feel like makes this Browns team so much different than other Browns teams that we've seen. And while some of the frustration that surrounds this team feels familiar, the level of success that they've had on the field is not. And that's because this is a team that's been around each other for a while. Like, think about that, how long this core of players have been around. A lot of these guys have been on the team together since 2018. The main core of players have been on this team since 2018. We talk about like Myles, Nick Chubb, Joe Bitonio, like all of the captain candidate players. They've been on this team since 2018. This is a level of continuity that the Cleveland Browns have never had on their roster. You can go back to any roster you want to before 2018. You're not going to find that much continuity. Remember when it was like, hey, man, Joe Thomas and Joe Hayden, those are the lone guys who've been on the team for a while. Everybody else in and out. The continuity on this team is what is helping it maneuver through these tough moments. When you look at the other teams, the other franchises in the NFL that seem to be able to get through these chunks, they have one thing in common, right? We talk about Baltimore always being able to get through these chunks. Oh, they lose this guy, they lose that, they find a way to win games. It's because Baltimore has had continuity in the coaching staff, on the roster, at GM for like 20 years. 20 years of continuity in that organization. Pittsburgh, a whole franchise life of continuity in that organization. So of course they find ways to win. Of course they find people to step up. See, when you fire your coach every 2 years and you fire your GM every 3 years, you end up with no continuity, no chance to be able to build a team that can fight through circumstance because they don't even know each other. You just got a bunch of strangers on the team. This is not that. So those of you who want to run off and fire a coach all willy-nilly or fire a GM every year, this is what you sacrifice. If you've ever wondered, oh man, why the Browns have been so miserable, look at all the other AFC North teams. They don't fire their GMs every year. They don't fire their coaches every year. It's not that difficult to figure out. And I'm not saying you just keep like Freddie Kitchens because you just need to keep a coach here. But if you have a coach who has demonstrated competency, which Kevin Stefanski has most definitely demonstrated, then you keep him. Because the continuity is valuable. You're seeing it right now. This team is on PJ Walker, who wasn't even on the team in camp. This team is on to their third running back, and they're trying to win a football game on Sunday, and they just beat the 49ers, and they just beat the Colts on the road. That's another thing about this team. They won a game on the road. Remember how hard that used to be for Browns teams? Because they would all be young players or guys who've never played together. They get on the road and everything crumbles. Well, now you got guys who can step up in the road. My favorite thing and the thing that I love about this team is its continuity. And it's unfortunate that that continuity isn't at quarterback. They haven't been able to find it. But to be fair, That's the hardest position in all of sports to find continuity in. And I'm fine with the approach they've taken since 2018. Taking a big swing at Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall. Okay, we get to the point where we realize that's not going to hit. You move on to another big swing. Okay, Deshaun Watson, if we get to the point where we know that's not going to hit, take another big swing. What this franchise did that got itself in quarterback hell for 20 years was refuse to take a big swing. You don't take a big swing, you never hit the ball. The Browns didn't hit the ball for 20 years, and they ended up in hell with a roster that was churning over every 2 years, GMs that were churning over every 3 years, and we ended up with rosters with no continuity, and it took 18 years, almost 20 seasons, for this team to have a roster with real continuity. That's what impatience got you. That's what wanting to fire your coach every season got you. It got you an 18-year wait so we could look around and be like, hey, man, all these dudes been on the same team for 5 years. It's starting to pay off. That's what impatience gets you. An 18-year wait. Ironic, right? But that's really where the Browns have been at. They've been impatient, and it took them 18 years to find a level, a spit of patience. Now they have patience. Now they have a roster with continuity. Now, when the crazy stuff happens, it doesn't implode the season. We can play through it. We can win through it. It ain't just this defense, by the way, that stepped up. The defense has stepped up. I think some players specifically on the defense have really stepped up. Myles Garrett first, but it's not just Myles Garrett that stepped up. And again, this is another reason why I love this team this year. If somebody ain't there, Nick Chubb's not there, somebody finds a way to step up. Say what you want about Jerome Ford. He's found a way to get production that nobody thought the Browns were going to get after Nick Chubb. Say what you want about Kareem Hunt or Pierre Strong or whoever they're going to throw out there. I'm confident that those guys will find a way to be productive because that's just what this team has been on this year. Amari Cooper has stepped up in big moments for this team, getting 160 yards against San Francisco, stepping up Elijah Moore in the fourth quarter for this team on 2 big drives, 2 big scoring drives for this team. Guys routinely stepping up to the moment on both sides of the ball. All 3 phases. Dustin Hopkins stepping up routinely. And when you have guys on defense that are willing to rise to occasion, like Myles Garrett and like Denzel Ward, when you have guys on special teams that are willing to rise to the occasion, like Dustin Hopkins, and when you have guys on offense that are willing to step up to the occasion, like Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore, and hell, say what you want about PJ Walker, but this team has been in 2 close games, and he's found a way to make it happen both times. It ain't pretty how he gets there, but nobody's expecting pretty out of PJ Walker. We just want results. It's ironic to me that we're so caught up in the doom and gloom over whatever we feel like may or may not be happening with Deshaun Watson's shoulder, if he's going to play. Look, he's probably just not going to be a reliable person this year. We're so caught up in that we are actively ignoring wins, and we're actively ignoring people who have stepped up. And this is why I say this confidently. I don't care who plays quarterback. I trust everybody else on that field. I trust 21 guys on that football team to step up every week, because those 21 dudes, with the exception of the weird Baltimore game, have stepped up. Week in, week out, tough game, rough game, road game, home game, they've stepped up. Big, huge in moments. They have stepped up. It's unfortunate that I can't say 22 guys have stepped up. And at times, it's PJ Walker has stepped up. So let me not, 21 and a half. We all know who we talk about that has not stepped up yet this season, and it's been the quarterback position in general. except for PJ at times. But look, I like PJ, man. I love his story. I'm gonna give him his credit when his credit is due. But real talk, don't let your disappointment, your frustration in one person cloud the achievements of the 21 other people on the field. I have faith in 21 of these players. I have faith in all of the coaches on this team because they have stepped up. Jim Schwartz has stepped up. Look, it's not easy to score points with PJ Walker, but Kevin Stefanski has found a way to make it happen. It's not easy to move the ball without Nick Chubb, but Kevin Stefanski and that offensive staff have found a way to make it happen. Whether I like the approach or not, whether I like the offense or not, they have found a way to make it happen. Special teams coach Bubba Ventrone found a way to get there. This team is a good team. Everything around this team is good. Can they be a Super Bowl quality team without a franchise level quarterback? That's tough. It hasn't been done in a very long time. Last time it was Nick Foles, and that was really just the season. Well, not even a season, a little run in the playoffs. So it's hard to say that. It is. But is this a team that can make the playoffs? Is this a team that can give you a memorable season? Is this a team that can deliver you some spectacular moments? Is this a team worth appreciating? Hell yeah. Look, I've covered this team for 5 years. And in the 5 years of doing this, there have been teams I've actively hated where you just don't like watching them play because you don't like how they're playing the game. You don't like their attitude about it, right? 2019 was one of those years where it was like, man, we just suck. Like our attitude sucks. We're arrogant. We just suck. It's not a fun team to cheer for. 2020 was a more fun bunch. 2021, that was rough. 2022, I thought that was a fun enough bunch to root for. But this bunch right here, they're a fun bunch. Thoughts about the quarterback aside, they're a fun bunch. They have showed up. They have stepped up. Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper stepped up. Dustin Hopkins stepping up to the plate. Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, all these guys consistently stepping up. And that is what I love the most about this team. And that's what I want to make sure doesn't get lost. We're going to have our frustration that the quarterback that we thought was going to solve these problems has not yet solved these problems. We'll see what happens in the future, but I'm not 100% confident in that anymore, right? Like I'm worried about his ability to fulfill those promises. And right now I'm not really even concerned about his ability to fulfill those promises because what this team has in this locker room is special. But that's it. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.